Welcome back. Now, let's take you back to Polokwane, where the 10th Provincial Conference is currently underway at the Ranch Hotel in Polokwane. Let's take you live there.
We know that it has not been easy for you as the province as a whole to reach the destination or the period where you are. We want to take this opportunity to appreciate the leadership of the chairperson, Comrade Limpopo, that of uniting the African National Congress and leading our people with distinction and great commitment and humility. We want to thank you because most of the time many people do not have the opportunity and sometimes the courage to say thank you while you are still alive for uniting this province. We believe that you and in your collective leadership of the PEC and the outgoing PEC, you have done a lot and enough to build and grow our organization in this part of the country. And I believe that the Acting Secretary General of the ANC will be proud to hear all the milestones as the Provincial Secretary will be presenting the organizational report of things that have been achieved under very difficult conditions here in Limpopo. Once again, ours was to make sure that as we're here at the ranch, in the presence of the lions that are roaming around this game farm, to remind you that all the lions are well rested and caged. There is no risk at all that this conference will be disrupted by our wild animal. Enjoy the hospitality, not only of the ranch, but of Polokwane as a whole and of our region as a whole. Enjoy the home of Peter Mugaba. Whenever you get an opportunity, please, comrades and compatriots, do find time to come back to our region, because indeed it will not be enough to have been in Limpopo without visiting the home of Peter Mugaba, without visiting Polokwane. You are welcomed, comrades and compatriots. We wish you a very successful conference. We wish you unity. We wish you a lot of discussions that will deal with the critical challenges faced by our people, that of poverty, that of unemployment, that of inequalities. We believe conferences of the ANC must never relegate to become elective conferences. It must just be conferences of the African National Congress, where issues affecting our communities should be discussed, where matters such as water, building better roads, growing the economy of our province must be at the center of our discussions. Comrades and compatriots, you are all welcomed, and have a very successful conference, 10th Provincial Conference of the African National Congress. Welcome to Peter Mugaba region. Thank you.
for welcoming all of us in Pitamkaba region, Limpopo Province, the home of peace. We are proceeding with our program. Comrades, I'm going to request one of our NEC members, Comrade Chogo, the NEC deployee, convener of NEC deployee, is not here. Comrades, you must listen. You must learn to listen. I was still saying, Comrade Chogo, the convener of NEC deployees in the province, she's not in the hall, but we know that she's around attending to other matters related to this conference. So therefore, I'm going to request the NEC member, Comrade Candice, to come and present the TG to all of us, so that this conference, the 10th Limpopo Provincial Conference, is opened officially by our... Oh, I'm corrected, Comrade Nomvula, you can quickly come to the podium.
Alliance, viva! Thanking Yabonga Program Director, Comrade Chair of the Province, Comrade Stan Chupuma Tabata, and your PC Collective. I've been asked to present before you an activist, a child of the movement, who has been an activist in the student politics in the early 80s, also a former president of the Alexander Youth Congress, a leader of the Southern Transvaal Youth Congress, the longest serving provincial secretary not only of the ANC in Gauteng, but the provincial secretary of the UDF in the PWV region, as well as a member of the National Executive Committee of the United Democratic Front, who also happened to be the provincial secretary of the ANC after the unbanning, a comrade who has worked with many leaders and activists from here in the then Northern Transvaal, who has also led with many of those that you have named your own provincial office after, and those that you have named your regions after. He has also been able to serve in different community organizations, not only as a leader, but as a community worker, as an activist, working with different community organizations and the entire mass democratic movement. Comrade Paul has been a leader in Gauteng as the chairperson, as the provincial secretary, who now happens to be the Treasurer General of the African National Congress, who is now acting on behalf of the DSG in the absence of the SG, who is a member of the African National Congress in good standing, a member of the South African Communist Party, who was also involved in the founding of the South African Communist Party, appointed by the party after the unbanning. So here we want to present before you not only a TG of the African National Congress, but an activist of the African National Congress, a selfless servant of the people of South Africa, Shipokosha Paul Mashatile. Amanda!
Matimba, Manda, Mandla. Long live the African National Congress, long live. Long live the African National Congress, long live. All power. Program Director, thank you very much. It was a long CV by Comrade Nomvula. Comrades, let me begin by greeting the leadership of the African National Congress, NEC members deployed in Limpopo, led by Comrade Togo Didiza. Let me greet the leadership of the ANC here in Limpopo, led by Comrade Stan Matabat. Greet the veterans of our movement and you, the delegates from our branches. Let me greet the leadership of the ANC Youth League, the Women's League, and the Veterans League. Greet the leadership of the Alliance, SACP, COSATU, and SANCO. Greet the leaders of COSAS, SASCO, the Youth League, the YCL, and the Progressive Youth Alliance. Kidumedishe le makoshi arona le mkhona le khono ya le dumedisha banda bezitha Let me also greet leaders of fraternal organization and guests who have been invited to this conference. Greet our friends, the media. You always make us look good, media. Thank you very much. The reporter Huntley. We love you. And indeed, last but not least, all comrades and friends. Comrades, I bring to you this afternoon to this 10th Provincial Conference of our glorious movement, the ANC in Limpopo, warm and revolutionary greetings from the officials and the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. Limpopo is the third province to hold a provincial conference after Mpumalanga and the Eastern Cape. As you know, that the Eastern Cape and Mpumalanga held their conferences also recently. It's important as we hold these conferences to remember that this is also a build-up to the policy conference that we're going to hold in July of this year. I wish to thank all the comrades in Limpopo who have worked hard to ensure that we reach this day. We thank the overwhelming majority of comrades from our branches for your perseverance, your understanding, and the utmost revolutionary discipline that you have displayed throughout this process. Our gratitude also goes to the outgoing PEC for the sterling work that they've done, steering this ship so well, always prioritizing the unity and cohesion of our movement. We know, comrades, that there were obstacles on the way, but you have overcome many of them. You didn't give up. You overcome many of them. Like all conferences of the ANC, we expect this to be a peaceful and successful conference. The people of this province and the country expect nothing less from the ANC. They are looking up to us as the ANC to provide sound leadership during these trying times of high unemployment in the country, poverty and inequality, as well as rising costs of living, food insecurity, and general state of despair currently engulfing our country and our continent. We are their hope. We dare not fail them. Let me take this opportunity, comrades, to remind us who we are in this province. Limpopo is the home of the ANC. The people of this province continue to see the ANC as a genuine custodian of their aspirations. We have seen in successive elections, even where in some places the ANC support was declining, here in Limpopo we continue to do better. So, comrades, we must never take this trust that the people have in us for granted. We must continue to earn it by the work we do. The 10th Provincial Conference of the ANC in Limpopo must be a conference of ideas and clear program of Is this one better? Okay. I was saying, comrades, that I was saying, comrades, that this 10th provincial conference of the ANC must be a conference of ideas and a clear program to better the lives of our people. It must not just be a conference to elect leadership. At all times, we must remember that the ANC exists not for itself, but also, and most importantly, the ANC exists to respond to the problems of our people. Accordingly, from all you comrade delegates, we expect high morale, high revolutionary discipline. We expect, comrades, exemplary behavior worthy of emulation by others within our movement who are yet to hold their conferences. So when the comrades look at you there, those who have not held their conferences, they must say, "Re batla ho tshwana le Limpopo." We also expect of you delegates to this conference to engage in debates and debate issues robustly, without fear or favor, but do so in the spirit of comradeship, accepting that we need each other more than ever before, and that without the other comrades, you are weak. Even as we differ, we must embrace each other as fellow comrades. We are not sworn enemies. We belong to one ANC. Yes. Let this conference reaffirm that the ANC in Limpopo is alive and leading. Equally, let us, through our conduct, show that Limpopo remains the undisputed home of the African National Congress, having come a long way over more than 100 years. A disciplined ANC, a caring ANC, and an ANC of the people. Comrades, as delegates to this provincial conference, we must be proud that we here in Limpopo stand on shoulders of giants. Heroes and heroines who changed the course of history and played no small role or no small part in advancing our struggle for national liberation. This province of Limpopo prides itself as the birthplace, the political finance and revolutionary laboratory that nurtured and shaped the activism and political outlook of some of our country's finest revolutionaries. I'm referring here, comrades, to revolutionaries of the highest caliber, such as Ndate Sefako Mapocho Makatu, the second President General of the African National Congress, Siaparangwe Ndate John Kadime, Godfrey Piche, John Pala, and many, many others. This, comrades, is the province of Franz Mushala and Pitamka, who were part of that death-defying generation of young lions who responded to the call to render the apartheid system ungovernable and South Africa ungovernable. This, comrades, is the home of Mark Shope, one of our country's foremost working class intellectual. The roots of Mama Charlotte Manya Macheke are firmly grounded on this province. Ke morwedi wa ga Manya kwa Botlokwa. This is the province of Lillian Ngoyi. Limpopo is also the home of Mama Joyce Mashamba, Mama Priscilla Mukaba, Daisy Sibati, and many, many other heroines and heroes of our struggle. It is also the province where we find Sekhukhune land, with its rich history of bravery and resistance against colonial oppression. History records that the 1958 Sekhukhune revolt was among those developments in the country that inspired the formation of the People's Army, Umkhonto weSizwe. We also know, comrades, that many young and early recruits of MK came from Limpopo. Comrade Elias Mtswaledi, Flag Bushielo, and many others. This is who we are. You, comrades, you stand on shoulders of giants. Remember that. But comrades, this conference also takes place during Youth Month. It's a special month as we celebrate the struggle waged by our young people in this country. This is a month where we take time to reflect, remember, and honor the role played by many young people in our struggle for liberation and in engaging efforts to reconstruct and develop our country. We also use this period to renew our commitment to the goal of advancing empowerment of young people, for we know too well that it is upon the shoulders of these young people that our future lies. It was President Oliver Tambo who reminded us and said the following: the children of any nation are the future, or its future. A country, a movement, a person that does not value its youth and children does not deserve its future. Close quotes. So, comrades, our country and our movement are at the crossroads. At this critical juncture, we need young people to occupy the frontmost trenches in the ongoing effort to renew our movement and to build our country. We welcome the progress made thus far in reviving structures of the ANC Youth League, and we look forward to the Congress of the Youth League this year. I hope you're ready. Did you say yes? Our young lions, organized under the banner of the militant yet disciplined ANC Youth League of Peter Mukaba and many others, must respond to the rallying call, young people to the front. They must put their innovation, their youthful exuberance, their guided impatience, and the power of their fresh ideas at the disposal of our country and our movement at this critical juncture. As a preparatory school of political school of the young people, the ANC Youth League must play a leading role in equipping young people with the necessary tools of analysis and execution to enable them to take up greater responsibilities for our society and our movement. Forward to the revival of the ANC Youth League, forward. Comrades, in addition to contributing towards the rebuilding and reviving structures of the ANC Youth League, ANC members also have a responsibility to continue towards building a strong ANC Women's League and Veterans League. We must also work hard towards the unity, cohesion of the alliance as a whole, SACP, COSATU, and SANCO. I said earlier, comrades, that as we hold this conference, we're going to have a national policy conference in July. So this provincial conference is perhaps the first to sit after the release of the discussion documents for our national policy conference, which we did, I think, 2 weeks ago. I am encouraged that these documents will form part of the deliberations in this conference. Remember, this must be a conference of ideas, festival of ideas, not festival of chairs. Ultimately, comrades, our goal must be to review the overall policy direction of the ANC, to identify gaps in policy implementation, and to determine what remains to be done to ensure that our strategy and tactics advance the goals of the national democratic revolution. Let us also ensure that our policy proposal produce concrete outcomes that will lift our people from the jaws of inequality, the jaws of poverty, hunger, landlessness, joblessness, and a very real sense of hopelessness. Social compacts with the rest of society are critical in ensuring that our policy proposals delivers the desired results in the shortest time possible. Time is not on our side. Our people demand meaningful change. And they demand it now. So when we go to this policy conference, we're going to make sure that we come up with real ideas that we're going to take to our national conference for adoption to be able to advance the cause of the liberation of our people for a better life. Comrades, as we sit in this conference, we must remember that this is a year of unity and renewal. This conference must place greater emphasis on unity and renewal of our movement. The 54th National Conference directed us and said the following: organizational renewal is an absolute and urgent priority, and we may go as far as to say it is critical to the survival of our movement. Conference further asserted that renewal is about building the ANC's resilience, enhancing its transformative and governance capacity, and its ability to adapt to changing situations so that it can continue to organize and lead our people. Comrades, the task of renewing and uniting the ANC can no longer be postponed. It is our generational mission. We dare not fail. We need a renewed and united ANC to regain credibility and trust amongst the people of South Africa. To us, renewal includes ensuring that we do everything and make sure that our movement emerge greater to be able to continue working for our people. It includes taking deliberate action to close social distance between our movement and the people. Ours must be a listening organization, a listening movement that is not arrogant, a movement that is responsive to the conditions of the people, and a movement that speaks the language of the people, a movement that stands for and not against the people. The renewed But the renewal of the ANC must also include the restoration of historic progressive values of our movement, values of hard work, service, unity, selflessness, sacrifice, discipline. It must include ensuring that the ANC remains a true parliament of the people. As I conclude, we must continue to spread the message that we are one ANC. The ANC on Tate Sefako Makato, Tate John Kadimeng, Elias Mutsualedi, Mama Lydia Ngoyi, Mama Mukaba, Mama Charlotte Mateke, and many others. Comrades, the kind of unity we are pursuing must be based on principle. It must not be unity at its own sake. It must be unity in action towards a common end. We know that the path to unity and renewal will not be easy. There will be a temporary setbacks, there will be pushbacks from some quarters, but we must soldier on. We must not give up. Ultimately, we must hand over to the coming generations a new, renewed, and united ANC as a potent instrument in their hands to further advance the goals of the National Democratic Revolution. On behalf of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, I wish you a successful provincial conference. And I want to say, forward to the unity and renewal of the ANC. Forward. Viva the African National Congress, viva. Viva. Kialebuha, comrades, all the best.
adopted the rules and procedure for this conference. I still expect you to listen to the chair of the session. When I say Amandla, you might have forgotten. It's just to say pay attention and listen. Thank you very much, TG, for officially opening the Limpopo 10th Provincial Conference. And in doing that, comrades, we have been reminded. The opening address was short, but very much informative. We have been reminded that the ANC is not starting today. And for us to continue to honor our fallen giants, our heroes and heroines, we must, all of us, work for the unity and cohesion of the ANC. If we are to respond to all the challenges facing our people, the ANC must be serious about the renewal and rebuilding program. So it means individually and collectively, we have the responsibility to continue to work very hard to ensure that Limpopo remains the home of the African National Congress. Can we give another round of applause to the TG, our acting Secretary General? You must not forget its history in making for the Treasury General to also act as a Secretary General of the ANC, and the organization is running. The organization is moving. The organization is able to run all its programs. Amanda! Riamurata TG Riamurata! Riamurata TG Riamurata! Amurata TG Amurata! Riabafuna TG Riabafuna! Thank you very much, comrades. We are proceeding with our program. I'm going to request you to give us a hot slogan as we usher to the podium the provincial chair, the champion of unity, to come and give us the political report. Can we all welcome the provincial chair?
Thank you, comrades. Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, comrades. Thank you. Okay. Comrade chairperson of the session.
Chairperson of the session, Comrade Florence, the Deputy Chairperson of our province, Treasurer General of our organization, Acting as Secretary General, Comrade Paul Mashatile, members of the National Executive Committee, deployees of the National Executive Committee, led by Comrade Togo, former Premier of our province and Deputy Minister of South African Police Services, Comrade Castle Matale, members of the Provincial Committee of the African National Congress in Limpopo present here, hosting this conference, the leadership of all our regions, starting from the host region, Pitamkaba, the region of Bembe, region of Skukune, the region of Nomen Mashabani, and the region of Waterbeek. The leadership of our alliance, the South African Communist Party, the Congress of South African Trade Unions, and SANCO, Mahoshi Arena Maparangwe Majwara Pamara, Madula Patinga Mshate, Ntimeleng Lena Kicheng Diatagalas Lega Bujagaragin, Kitie Nyachia Lotwana, Kitielo Polahoro, Ele regreta Lena Majwala Tama. The stalwarts of our liberation struggle, veterans of our movement, the leagues of our organization and the movement at large, the Veterans League, Women's League, Youth League, and the YCL. The ANC leaders at various stages and levels of our organization, the branches present here, delegates assembled in this hall, friends from the Fourth Estate, the media, comrades, friends and compatriots, and friends of the delegates, of course, receive our warm revolutionary greetings on this occasion of our conference. On behalf of the Provincial Executive Committee, I feel honored to present this political report to this 10th Provincial Conference of the African National Congress. The Provincial Conference of the African National Congress is in session, and this is real, comrades.
My apology to interrupt the provincial chair. We know it's not the culture and tradition of the ANC, but we had to make this urgent announcement. The following comrades are requested. One representative from the ANC Youth League, one from the Veterans League. I'm informed the ANC Youth League has already sent their rep. One rep from each region. Comrades, can we quickly, those who are supposed to go and join the election committee, can you quickly go there? My apologies, Chair.
Thank you, Comrade Deputy Chair. Comrades, traditionally, the Conference of the African National Congress is also a political school. The ANC conference has always been a platform for rigorous political exchange, a platform to exchange intellectual salvos. The key ingredients of an ANC conference include engagements on the strategies and tactics necessary for the prosecution of our ongoing national democratic revolution. A conference of the ANC is about an engagement of the national and international balance of forces. This conference will not fail to engage itself on this historic mandate of the African National Congress conferences. This 10th Provincial Conference of the ANC in Limpopo is also expected to impress on the organizational and political state of the African National Congress as a leader of the Revolutionary Alliance and as a leader of the society. And of course, as a vanguard organization for national liberation. In this regard, the question before the conference, and indeed a question for us as ANC members, is whether the ANC has the necessary organizational and political muscle to properly lead and execute the people's revolution. This is a question that requires honesty and not self-appeasing rhetoric. The truth that cannot be ignored by this conference is that the ANC is plagued with burdening challenges that have weakened the movement and are derailing the national democratic revolution. These challenges did not just erupt out of nowhere. The building blocks for these challenges have been gaining momentum since the 1994 political breakthrough, which came with proximity to state power and resources. Comrades, former Secretary General, Comrade Gwete Mantashe, refers to this phenomenon as the sins of incumbency. In 2005, former Secretary General, Comrade Kgalema Motlanthe, said the following about this, and I quote, "These problems point to an erosion of the revolutionary morality that has characterized our movement for decades, and which infused the volunteers of the Congress of the People campaign with a burning need to serve the people. The reasons for such an erosion are not hard to fathom. The central challenge facing the ANC is to address the problem that arises from our cadres' susceptibility to moral decay occasioned by the struggle for the control of and access to resources. All the paralysis in our programs, all the divisions in our structures are in one way or another a consequence of this cancer in our midst. The problem lies in the fact that in our efforts to make up for the debilitating weight of apartheid, many of us appear only too quick to sacrifice the moral and ethical standards that have characterized our movement. Comrades, moral degeneration linked to the accumulation and control over resources is not a consequence we can accept, since it threatens to extinguish the torch of freedom that our people have carried for so long. Because of their hopes and aspirations, we are duty-bound to act as the ANC in the vanguard of the struggle against moral decay and corruption. During the 2007 Polokwane conference, President Thabo Mbeki asked a question that was directly linked to the observation made 2 years earlier by Comrade Kgalema Motlanthe. President Mbeki asked, "Is the ANC capable of discharging its responsibilities to the masses of our people, the peoples of Africa, and the rest of the world during this critical phase of our national democratic revolution?" Close quote. That was a question to the delegates who attended the 2007 National Conference here in Polokwane. That question, comrades, may not have received an honest and frank answer it required, given the hostile political mood which prevailed during the Polokwane conference. The question whether the ANC is capable of discharging its responsibilities to the masses of our people remain as relevant today as it was in 2007. As delegates to this conference, we cannot afford to ignore answering this question or to be dishonest with our answers. It is our revolutionary duty, comrades, to be honest and frank in us answering this question. We need to be honest, even if being honest exposes our own weaknesses. Comrades, in 2017, our former SG, Comrade Gwete, also delivered a diagnostic report which impressed more on these tendencies. The report, amongst other things, identified the following ills. One was the rise in ill discipline in the ranks, especially amongst those in leadership positions. Decline in political consciousness amongst the general membership, as well as the leadership across all structures of our movement. Deployment and election of people who are not suitable to positions of authority and leadership of the organization to further certain factional interests and narrow economic agendas. Lack of political understanding amongst members of the role of the leagues and the alliance. Branches exist during preparation for conferences. Buying membership for members, patronage and nepotism. The ANC is regarded as an employment agency. People are joining the organization to access resources. No consistent political education programs. The new culture of bloc voting based on slates, factionalism and lack of political debate by members. Lack of understanding of the ANC as an agent of change. Leadership debate and lobbying for positions having been relegated into conspiracy and plotting. General acknowledgement that our structures are weak and not able to provide leadership to society. Fear instead of respect of leadership. Amassing wealth at the expense of the organization. Personalization of political or organizational issues and the buying of membership and skewed recruitment. This was the diagnostic report that was presented by Comrade Gwete Mantashe as Secretary General then. As you know, comrades, these challenges I have just mentioned, which were highlighted in the 2017 diagnostic report, have been prevalent at least as early as 2005 when Comrade Kgalema Motlanthe highlighted them in his organizational report. The sad reality is that these historic challenges remain vicious and alive and threatening to liquidate the African National Congress. The question for you as delegates and for all ANC members is, why are these challenges still with us? Why is it so difficult to rid the organization of these parasitic challenges? Are there people inside or outside of this movement who benefit from the weakened African National Congress? The strategic question before this conference and for all ANC members, comrades, is, as Lenin said in 1924, what is to be done? The burning question of our movement. The answers to this question should not be cosmetic, comrades, or self-appeasing. I am saying this because the challenges facing the ANC are not cosmetic. The very existence of the ANC is under threat, comrades. It is either we eliminate these challenges or these challenges eliminate the African National Congress. The 2017 African National Conference at Nasrec, which is popularly known as the Nasrec Conference, adopted the theme of unity and renewal to respond to these challenges. As guided by Nasrec Conference, the renewal of the African National Congress means gravitating the organization away from all the negative tendencies that I've already mentioned. We should do this, comrades, with an understanding that as the current generation of ANC members, we are merely trustees of this historic organization. Our mandate as leaders is to build and preserve this organization on behalf of the masses of our people. Our collective task is to make this organization stronger with each epoch of our leadership. We are tasked with the mandate to sharpen this organization, to make it a potent weapon that would be able to confront the inherited triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. No one, comrades, has a right to act outside of this revolutionary mandate. We do not have a right to decide whether this organization should die or not. We cannot be a generation of members and leaders who administers a lethal injection to this organization of the people. We cannot afford to have history to remember us as those who destroyed and killed the African National Congress. The young people must inherit this movement. I get them out. Whatever our irritations, whatever our frustrations and inconveniences, the ANC must live and outlive all of us. It is for this reason that we must engage robustly and honestly about the content of the renewal program as adopted by the Nasrec Conference. The truth we cannot run away from is that there has not been any visible improvement since the Nasrec Conference. Instead, things seem to be getting worse. Can it be that our organization is resistant to the renewal medication? Or maybe the content of our prescription is wrong? If neither of the two is correct, it then can only mean that we have been defaulting on our prescription ourselves. Whatever the case, the reality of the matter is that the ANC must be rescued from the grip of these negative tendencies. For the ANC to live and outlive all of us, we must recommit ourselves to the values that defines the ANC and its leadership throughout the years before the sins of incumbency crept in. ANC leaders were never about its self-enrichment. ANC leaders have never pursued politics of personality cults. ANC leaders never mobilized political support through the ticket of regionalism or tribalism. ANC leaders were never careerists or populists. ANC leaders understand that not even the ANC came first, but the people came first. Comrades, the renewal of the African National Congress also means that we must all recommit ourselves to the loyalty to the movement, commitment to the revolution, and absolute love for the people in whose name the ANC exists. We need to defeat this tendency which seeks to destroy the value system of the organization with the view to hijack the movement and ultimately misdirect our revolution. This is a tendency that we must and will defeat. As leaders and deployees of the African National Congress in government, we must make a U-turn from the tendencies that separates us from our people. The ANC itself must be prepared to take serious and visible action against those who are not prepared to embark on the path of renewal. Our people no longer see us in themselves, comrades. We have become distant and foreign creatures to our people. Let us take the ANC back to the basics. Let us take the ANC back to the people, because that is where it belongs. Let those who are deployed in government prioritize service to our community and our people and not use these deployments for personal enrichment. Let people come first in whatever we do, comrades. Because, as we always said when we were in the battle trenches, Comrade Paul, that we are in a war of love. We are in this war because we love our people. Hence, we are in a war of love. The love that we call proletariat love. The love that prompted Solomon Masangu when his mother asked him, "What should I say to the people of South Africa?" If I paraphrase what he said, he said, "Tell the people of South Africa that I love them." Because this is a revolutionary responsibility that made him to lay down his life. The love for our people, proletariat love. Comrades, our provincial conference takes place during this month of June, which is also our youth month. In about 2 weeks, we will commemorate 46th anniversary of Soweto uprising. The young people of 1976 have had enough of the indignity of life under apartheid. They were prepared to pay whatever price necessary for the freedom of their people. The young people of 1976 had argued that apartheid could not be reformed. The young generation was prepared to use whatever means at their disposal to confront and liquidate the inhumane system of apartheid. They did this even when they were faced with real possibilities of arrest, prosecution, banishment, and death itself. They used to say, "We look death with contempt." That was the slogan of the time. Many of them paid this ultimate price. The generation of young people was indeed unwavering in its commitment and undeterred in its determination to fight the evil system of apartheid. They took it upon themselves to determine their own destiny. Today's generation of young people which is led by the African National Congress Youth League, cannot afford to betray the sacrifices of the generation of 1976. You have a historic duty, comrades, to honor the memories and sacrifices of the 1976 martyrs. In this regard, the task of young people in the ANC is to rebuild the ANC Youth League to its glorious past. The ANC Youth League must be rebuilt, and this must be a revolutionary responsibility of all of us here, not only the young people. This, comrades, is because nature does not allow any vacuum. The ANC Youth League must be in good shape to rally young people behind the vision of the ANC and in order to champion the interest of young people. Members of the ANC Youth League must always remember that the Youth League does not exist merely to serve its members. The Youth League exists for the benefit of all young people, organized and unorganized. The state of the ANC Youth League should and is a matter of concern to the ANC. The twin task that I have spoken about cannot be advanced without a united, focused, disciplined, and yet radical ANC Youth League. It is in the interest of the ANC that the ANC Youth League reclaims the lost ground. Comrades, the pace of our national democratic revolution is also informed by factors outside our own national borders. These factors include peace and stability on the continent and across the global village, global solidarity, social justice, community development, and human security are the prerequisite for this national democratic revolution to be prosecuted in the manner that the African National Congress decided in 1969 at Morogoro. The rising narrow nationalism across many countries of the world, extremist and militarization of the world, threatens the survival of the ideals of global friendship, peace, security, and development of the world. The tendency to operate outside the multilateral institutions such as the United Nations and the United Nations Security Council is as dangerous as the refusal by these institutions to transform. The dominance of powerful nations in the United Nations Security Council has resulted in the misuse of Security Council to serve and service the agenda of powerful countries like the United States. The ensuing war between Russia and Ukraine is a direct result of a militarized world. It is unfortunate that in a war situation, the truth is always the first casualty. It is not surprising that at the start of the war, the United States and its allies have used their imperial muscles to block Russian media houses, such as the Russian TV and the Sputnik news agency. Our world shall know no peace for as long as powerful nations pursue unilateralism against multilateralism. We cannot even begin to count the many United Nations General Assembly resolutions against Israel for its flagrant violation of human rights against the Palestinian people. These resolutions continue to be shot down by the United States of America through its veto power. The United Nations General Assembly has year in, year out voted against the unjust blockade of Cuba, calling on the United States to end this blockade. To this day, comrades, the United States continue to disregard this United Nations Assembly resolution to end its blockade of the People's Republic of Cuba. The concept of veto power in its current form, is outdated and oppressive and should be done away with. The implementation of sanctions against wrongdoers has been the most inconsistent practice at times used to bully other countries into submitting to the interests of the so-called superpowers. Comrades, this provincial conference takes place after the devastation of socio-economic activity and life itself by COVID-19 pandemic. Our economy has suffered greatly from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. In response to the growing cases of COVID-19 cases, government had to lock down the country and impose necessary restrictions to save lives. Economic activities on many sectors of the economy had to be closed. This was a delicate balance between the need to save lives, whilst at the same time protecting the economy from total collapse. The key sectors of our provincial economy were not spared from the devastating effects of COVID-19. Tourism became the most affected. The COVID-19 pandemic did not only constrain employment creation, but it also resulted in increased retrenchment in various sectors of the economy. For example, in the second quarter of 2020, the economy had shared over 2.2 million jobs. Unemployment is one of the socio-economic challenges that the provincial government has to pay attention to. We have to do this, comrades, taking into account the efforts and programs adopted by the national and provincial government to address this challenge. The Fetakobutuwazi Special Economic Zone and Musina Makado Special Economic Zone are expected to gravitate our provincial economy away from the devastation and destruction caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Through these flagship projects, we will be able to create the much needed employment in the manufacturing sector. Our conference, comrades, is taking place at a time of great socio-economic depression in the country. The economy has not been growing, unemployment has been on the increase, the inequality gap has been widening, wages have not been increasing consistent with the cost of living, and the poor have become poorer. The middle class is drowning in a sea of debt. Services such as water, electricity, rates and taxes have become unaffordable for the majority of the middle class households. Comrades who are entering the hall, can you please do so quietly, so that you don't disrupt the processes of conference. Comrades, this is a bleak situation that our people find themselves having to navigate on a daily basis. Although most of these challenges have been prevalent before the COVID-19 pandemic, COVID-19 has made the situation worse. The ensuing conflict between Russia and Ukraine is unfortunately adding to the economic turmoil of our country. Unfortunately, this conflict, which is happening in Europe, is impacting negatively on the socio-economic recovery plans of our country. Already, world commodity prices have sharply increased. Our continent and our country are already experiencing unprecedented soaring of food and fuel prices as a result to this conflict. The people of South Africa look to this conference and to the ANC for solutions to these socio-economic challenges. People expect real and concrete solutions from this conference. Slogans and rhetoric will not be enough to satisfy our people's hunger and thirst. The many reports about corruption and mismanagement in government are impacting negatively on the image of the ANC as a leading party in government. Beyond the negative impact of the image of our movement, corruption and mismanagement undermines the ability of our government to deliver on the promises of a better life for all. Comrades, the collapse of the VBS Mutual Bank as a result of mismanagement, corruption and rampant looting has impacted negatively on our organization, the ANC as a ruling party, and the province at large. The magnitude of the damage to the bank, the alleged involvement of some of our comrades and employees meant that the ANC could not avoid criticism. Our provincial government and the ANC acted swiftly by instituting a forensic investigation to this. We also at the level of government invited the Special Investigating Unit, the SIU, to conduct a thorough and focused investigation to uproot any wrongdoing on the part of government officials. As a result, comrade, that is why we disagree with anyone who says this provincial government and the leadership of the ANC in this province did nothing about the VBS saga. We did everything that we were supposed to do. Comrades, the collapse of the provincial government in the years 2009 to 2014 under the stewardship of the ANC government still remains firm and vivid in the minds of our people. COVID-19 PPE procurement corruption scandal was equally damaging despite the fact that we were able to arrest and reduce its intensity here in our province, Limpopo. When the country was galvanized and united against a new enemy in the form of the COVID-19 pandemic, criminals saw an opportunity to loot and enrich themselves. When the so-called PPE scandal broke, the provincial government immediately invited the SIU to conduct investigations and report so that swift action could be taken against wrongdoers. I want to take this opportunity to commend all the whistleblowers who sounded the alarm and provided information to the SIU investigators. We salute you, comrades, for your patriotism. It is our collective responsibility to unfertilize the ground for criminals and looters. We must take away incentives for corruption. As members of the ANC, we must be the most intolerant of criminals who loot and plunder public resources. Corruption impacts negatively on the image of the African National Congress, comrade. The theft of public resources undermines government's ability to deliver on the promises we have made to the people of our country. It is the responsibility of the African National Congress, therefore, comrades, to ensure that there is no corruption in the country, not only in government. Because remember, comrades, the worst corruption is not in government, it's in the private sector. So as the African National Congress, because we are the leader of the society, we must ensure that we end it even there. Comrades, apart from corruption and mismanagement, a negative display of wealth is another pandemic facing our movement. A strange phenomenon has erupted in the movement where ANC leaders are associated with lavish living and exorbitance. ANC leaders cannot afford the tag of being the elite politicians who wallow in lavish lifestyles and lives in affluent suburbs, whereas the people we lead gallop in the sea of poverty and dusty streets. We cannot have leaders with a reputation to flaunt money and related material positions in the face of the poor masses we lead. This tendency creates a social distance between the ANC as a leader of society and the very people we are supposed to lead. We are not saying, comrades, that if people can afford to buy and then finish 15 years, they must not buy it. But what we are saying is that don't buy it and drink it whilst in front of those whom you know very well that they cannot afford it. If it happens that you buy it for them. Comrades, the ANC is a leader of government in this province, and we have been entrusted with this hallowed responsibility since 1994. Apart from the provincial government, we lead almost 99% of the municipalities in this province. There's no single municipality in this province where the ANC is not a majority party. Even the two municipalities, Mujimule Mokopong and Tabazimbi, in those municipalities also, the ANC is still a majority party. Which therefore says, comrades, that the people trust us to run a clean, effective and capable government in this province. We dare not forget, comrades, what I mentioned earlier, that we come from a history of provincial government that had collapsed. As a result of that collapse, the national government had intervened through Section 100 administration. Comrades, the gravity of the situation then was such that there were hospitals without medication and food, schools without textbooks, public servants were facing a real possibility of not getting their salaries. And I must say here and now, comrades, that we have since turned the corner. We have since turned the situation around. an overwhelming number of our provincial government departments have been receiving positive audit opinions from the Auditor General. Our municipalities have also joined the chorus. Our municipalities are now equally performing well in this area. Most of our municipalities today, comrades, more than 80% of our municipalities, Comrade Paul, are unqualified. They've got unqualified audit opinions. We have reached a stage where we call ourselves a disclaimer-free province. The latest available audit opinion results shows that out of 11 departments in the province, 4 received clean audit outcomes. And these departments are Treasury, the Office of the Premier, the Department of Transport and Community Safety, and LEADET. Apart from the Department of Health and the Department of Education, Comrade Paul, all other departments received unqualified audit opinions from the auditor. The Limpopo Gambling Board has also maintained its clean audit status, whilst Limpopo Tourism Authority and RAL have received unqualified audit opinions. We have the assurance from the provincial government, comrades, that both LEADER and Gateway International Airport Authority Limited are receiving required attention and support to move out of the qualified and adverse bracket respectively. Today we can speak with confidence in saying that today we are able to report that the provincial government has regained its foot with regard to the ethos of good governance and sound financial management. History will judge us harshly, comrades, if we do not put action to our weights against the pandemic of gender-based violence. Today in our country, gender-based violence has assumed unprecedented levels of brutality and barbarism. Perpetrators of this violence are becoming more vicious with each day that passes. We have seen women being killed in their homes, women are killed on the streets, women are victimized at workplaces, and women are even killed at police stations while reporting gender-based violence. We simply cannot afford to fold our hands, comrades, and watch as women of our country become endangered species. The ANC, as a champion of human rights and women's rights, must lead the fight back. Remember what Oliver Tambo used to say about our women, comrades, that they are the flowers of our nation. We further call on the courts to impose harsher sentences to those who are found guilty of abusing women and children. Comrades, in whatever thing we do, we must not forget the historic mission of the African National Congress, the ongoing task to unite our people, and the resolution of the national question. The unity of black people in general, and Africans in particular, is sacrosanct to the African National Congress. The very formation of the African National Congress was to undermine the artificial divides between various tribal groupings amongst Africans. We should also Or we should always remember, comrades, that it was our divisions which led to our national domination. The artificial divide between the class interests of the oppressor and our national oppression cannot be underplayed. In this case, we must always remind the guiding words of Comrade General Secretary of the Communist Party of the South African Communist Party, Comrade Joe Slovo, when he said, and I quote, "National domination is maintained by a ruling class whose state apparatus protects the economic interest and social privileges of all classes amongst the white minority. It denies the aspiration of the African people towards a single nationhood, and in its place attempts to perpetuate tribalism and ethnicity. These practices affect the status and life of every black in every class. It is, however, the black working class which, in practice, suffers the most intense form of national domination. We, as the ANC, know very well that we cannot succeed in the task of uniting our people and resolving the national question without the support and participation of our traditional leaders. It was traditional leadership that made the historic call for the unity of Africans against colonial oppression. The formation of the African National Congress was a direct response to this call. Comrades, the current phase of the National Democratic Revolution demands that as a movement we should take up some specific tasks. And these tasks include embracing the renewal project, reinvigorating and maintaining the ANC value system, recalibrating our approach to membership, recruitment and development, effectively addressing toxic factionalism and factional activities, ensuring continuous and regular political education, ensuring that the ANC deploys well-capacitated and skilled public representatives, and deal decisively with corruption. Comrades, the ANC government must also prioritize initiatives and programs that add value and meaning to the lives of our people. Our government across all spheres must prioritize the issue of infrastructure delivery, particularly water infrastructure and the road network. We must also renew the capacity of our government, including municipalities, to serve the people better. This means that we must adopt a zero tolerance to corruption, mismanagement, and related tendencies. Government systems should also be strengthened to take care of the needs of our military veterans. This is not an act of charity, comrades. Taking care of the needs of our military veterans is not an act of charity. It is a national obligation that should be discharged with pride. The ANC should also invest attention in the work of building a strong revolutionary alliance. In this regard, I want to welcome the recent successful conferences in our province of the Congress of South African Trade Union and the South African Communist Party. We are confident that these conferences would have helped to strengthen the political and organizational capacities of these important components of our revolutionary alliance. As the alliance, we should accept that to a greater extent, the challenges facing the ANC are a reflection of the state of the alliance. Strengthening the South African Communist Party, COSATU and SANCO is equally important for the renewal initiatives championed by the African National Congress. It is our individual and collective responsibility to ensure that individual components of the alliance are revived and strengthened. Indeed, as President O.R. Tambo has warned, without a strong alliance, we will not be able to prosecute the National Democratic Revolution to its logical conclusion. As part of our revolutionary commitment to use the state power as an infrastructure, an instrument of transformation, the ANC as the ruling party must undertake the following tasks: the building of a capable, ethical, and developmental state, implementing a systemic industrial agenda that should lead to job creation, ensuring the provision of quality education and health services. When we say quality education, we're referring to the education that should respond to the needs of the economy. Ensuring the provision of quality basic services, in particular a provision of water, roads and sanitation, accelerating the delivery of integrated and sustainable infrastructure, ensuring an integrated youth development program and gender transformation, and advancing the aspiration of the people living with disabilities. Advancing digital economic transformation and just transition. Comrades, as I conclude, I must emphasize, comrades, that building a strong organizational machinery within the African National Congress is a revolutionary responsibility. As a result, I want to urge the incoming Provincial Executive Committee to prioritize the convening of the Waterberg Conference. Comrades, there is no doubt that the ANC is faced with an expiry of time if we don't do anything. We needed to renew the movement or face a real possibility of the death of the African National Congress. The renewal, comrades, meant that we indeed needed to gravitate away from the negative tendencies which had become almost synonymous to our organization. The ANC needed to embrace a new direction that was being pointed out. It was either we embrace the new direction or the movement perishes in our hands. We must choose the new direction, comrades, the renewal path. In this regard, we must also be guided by the knowledge that the ANC is a formation that belongs to the masses of our people. This organization was born out of the relentless struggles of our people. As a result, comrades, the ANC must live and outlive us. The ANC live, therefore the ANC leads. Comrades, I wish you all honest, frank, and robust discussions in our deliberations. May the spirit of unity and renewal propel us forward. Amen.